there's a fight over devices. Since about 98, I've been a Microsoft trainer. The thing that I dreaded the most was getting rid of stupid silences. It goes through and gives me that awesome clip, and then I pull that into DaVinci. I had a 10-minute clip. It would normally take me close to a day to film, edit, and then do all of my creative stuff. I think I got it done in like 2.5. It was amazing. And like I said, AI is killing us. We need a competitive edge to stay ahead of getting courses out quicker. I don't know how you guys have done it. It's revolutionary for me.
Do you have experience with editing with AI before you got to TimeBolt?
DaVinci 19 Studio it's called Transcribe. There is no way for me to say, give me any tweaks. With TimeBolt, you can adjust the padding. You don't get that with DaVinci. It just whacks. It's a lot of reading. When I go through and I'm recording randomly where it was cutting, I was like, I can't deal with this. I immediately jumped out of it.
Go through the TimeBolt pass one time, and I get all that stuff done.
Welcome to TimeBolt Office Hours on January 9th, 2025. Thank you. We're live with Doug and Quinson, our compadre TJ. We're here to answer questions, check your workflows, and generally just make sure that you get the best out of TimeBolt. And we've had, since our last conversation, we've had the File Doctor implemented. How you doing, Dale?
Can you guys hear me?
There we go.
Yep. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
That's all right. How you doing, Dale? I was looking at some of our past email strings.
I think I figured out the majority of my problems.
Can you explain like where there was a mix-up? We might figure out how we can handle that with some better information.
I'm blaming it all on OSB or OBS because every time just by coincidence, I shut it down and I no longer had the problem with anything working with TimeBolt. I'm using it quite extensively now. Haven't had any problems.
Great. And that's right. You're making you're basically doing screen presentations for IT security type content and recording a PowerPoint along with your voice. I can't recall if do you have your camera on as well?
I do. I switch in between live video and PowerPoint presentation. With OBS, I actually capture a higher rate. It's a taller rate. I capture my PowerPoints and my live at the same time. And then when I eventually get into DaVinci, I can zoom up and make use of their multi-cam feature and switch back and forth because I have everything recorded. But TimeBolt handles it just fine. I can see both my video, my slides. It is like way increased my production.
Are you recording with TimeBolt at all? Or is it just fully with OBS?
I'm not, because of the way that like my resolution is like 1920 by 2, whatever 1080 doubled would be. What would that be? 2160?
4K.
That's the only reason why I'm not using it. I did use it when I was recording with TimeBolt before I was doing this new capture method that they gave us makes it a little bit easier. So I don't have to capture slides and then rerun again and capture video.
You were able to find out that you were able to figure out what was wrong with your way you were recording OBS was probably something with the audio, wasn't it?
Well, what happens, what's really weird, and this is my discovery, is me trying to multitask. I like to have my OBS open, my DaVinci open, and TimeBolt open. But what I discovered was, one, DaVinci has this evil habit of grabbing your microphone. Even though you may be using it in OBS, it'll grab it. And the only reason why it grabs it is because of a Fairlight issue. I did some research on that. When I went through and said, in order to keep it from grabbing it, I tried to assign my webcam to to DaVinci. And that started creating, I have to get rid of all my audio sources except for my mic, because if I don't, I call it like a digital distortion of my voice every now and then, just randomly. Going through the process of elimination, I finally sat there and went, okay, let me just record with OBS by itself. Then I would shut that down and bring up DaVinci or bring up TimeBolt, and there would be nothing. There would be no distortions. And then when I would render, I still was a little leery about rendering, because when I was rendering with TimeBolt, I would get what I sent you guys, those blank sections. The video is there, but the audio would just disappear completely, and my audio levels were fine. I didn't have to use your settings to make it go up to increase or anything. But once I stopped OBS, that problem went away. Now I'm rendering with you guys, and everything's working fine so far.
Okay, excellent. And Quincy, do you kind of may have happened with that?
It's hard to say, but my assumption is that when another software tries to hog resources, I think it kind of interferes with the way in which one software is trying to record. The other one's interfering. I think that's the issue. And once you shut the other softwares down, it probably just works because it's dedicated to one source.
And you probably have Dale, you've got like you've got like a Focusrite, you've got like a hardware solution, right? Like for your audio
For my audio, I go through a DDX 260, 286, and then into a Focusrite.
Yeah. One question I do have is it Windows or Mac? Are you on Windows or Mac?
Windows 11, I'll give you a little, it's a Threadripper CPU with 128 gigs of RAM and tons of storage, all solid state.
Okay.
I don't think, I've never chewed up all my available resources, but I agree with you. I think something is happening where there's a fight over devices.
I think that's a Windows thing, by the way.
Yeah.
It happens to me too when it comes to webcam. When I'm using my webcam on my Windows 11 computer on, let's say, the camera app, I can't use it in Zoom. It kind of like blocks the resource. But on Mac, it doesn't happen. On Mac, you can use the same webcam in multiple software and it's not an issue. That's why I think Doug got confused, because Doug is on a Mac.
We'll forgive him of that.
Are you able to switch then? Like, if let's say you're recording in TimeBolt on a Windows computer, can you switch the
No, I
camera
can't.
view live?
No, I can't. When I'm using on Windows, if like one software prioritizes a source, another software can't use the same source. That's a Windows thing.
Okay. That's actually being able to switch cams actually come in pretty handy as I'm developing these.
Like, for example, I can't
videos.
do like a TimeBolt demonstration using the recording feature, because on Zoom, when I have the camera already occupied by the Zoom software, if I open TimeBolt and TimeBolt opens, the camera will just be black. It won't recognize the camera.
Wow.
It's occupied by Zoom.
Wow. I didn't know that. I'll have to make a note of that inside these presentations.
Yeah, but it's a Windows thing. That's why
I run into the same problem with my Windows 10 and Windows 11 machines.
Well, I'm sorry you guys feel that way and are not. Let me ask you this question. Are you a gamer by chance, Dale? Do you game?
No.
Is there anything that led you down the path of going with a Windows PC?
Background is, since about 98, I've been a Microsoft trainer. I've specialized in the server platforms, and my whole world has been Microsoft based. I used to be an Apple guy. This will date me quite a bit. I bought my first computer was an Apple IIc, and then I bought an Apple II GS, and then they discontinued them. And I was like, okay, you're done. There's no upgrade path. I'm not going to follow you guys. I can't upgrade this thing. It's kind of a sore spot for me, and I know that's been like decades ago. And I look at the Macs today, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's probably a learning curve for me as well.
I see. And when it comes to recording, after you get done, one of the things that I found with doing these workflow videos is I'll end up putting up a lot of time and effort into scripting out what I want to say, what I'm going to be talking about linearly, creating the content. And what was just surprising, it's always kind of surprising to me, but it's even more surprising is after you spend all this time doing this, once you record the video, the editing is like a afterthought, right? Like editing takes literally about as long as it takes to record it live, going back and cutting it up before you hit the render button, and just being able to see that finished product fast the day of recording has been pretty surprising to me. I didn't know if you kind of had some of those similar experiences.
I've always dreaded editing because well, I shouldn't say dread, because I love the creative stuff that I get to do with editing, but I do dread that process. And the thing that I dreaded the most was getting rid of the stupid silences. And I would go through, back in the day when I was using Camtasia, my project even today will look like what TimeBolt does by chopping it up, and you get these little bitty splices everywhere, clips. But imagine doing that manually. That's what I was doing, and it was a pain in the butt. Like I said, when I render with TimeBolt, it goes through and gives me that awesome clip, and then I pull that into DaVinci. Then I get to focus in on, okay, where do I want a highlight or an arrow pointing, or we call them callouts? Where do I want that stuff? I can focus on that. I go from, matter of fact, I timed myself the other day I had a 10-minute clip. It would normally take me close to a day to film, edit, and then do all of my creative stuff. And well, I would say probably take me about 6 hours, 7 hours. I did a full 10-minute clip the other day, and I think I got it done in like 2.5. It was amazing. And like I said, I think I shared with you, Doug, the company I work with, Pluralsight, there's probably 2,000 plus authors. And I'm putting together a demo video to show them. Hopefully they'll come see you guys and buy some stuff, because we're all looking for how do we get AI is killing us already as far as teaching is concerned. We now have avatars and stuff. We need a competitive edge to stay ahead of getting courses out quicker. And I don't know how you guys have done it, because if you're not using AI, except for I understand the object, but I'm like, how did it know that I was starting over? Because sometimes it'll catch that I've started over a sentence and it's already silenced it out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's revolutionary for me. I'm excited.
One thing I would like to ask is, when you are exporting from TimeBolt and you are taking it back to DaVinci Resolve, right?
Yeah.
Like you are like if you want to save a bunch more time, you can use the XML export. That just retains the original clip in DaVinci. You don't have to render
Yeah,
it.
I did do that. I have done that a couple of times. I actually using the integration with DaVinci you guys created. And I had actually one of Pluralsight's big production guy. He came over to help me with some lighting issues that I was having for my live. I showed it to him and he was like, holy cow, when he saw how the XML just came right into DaVinci. And what was nice about that is that I did discover, this was back with OBS running. These are it was really weird random thing that was taking place. I would clip and I would make what do you want to call it, a splice? A split? So I do a split in TimeBolt, and when I rendered it and brought it into DaVinci, it would actually be cutting off only in certain sections, the last section. Like if I was saying computers, you would only hear computer, you wouldn't hear the end of it. But by bringing it in with the XML, I was able to just simply push it over. Does that make sense? And extend out that particular clip. I got that. And then ever since I figured out to stop OBS, as much as I enjoy OBS, man, I just got to shut that thing down. Matter of fact, I'm really paranoid now. I shut down OBS and DaVinci. I only run TimeBolt by itself. I only run OBS by itself, and I only run DaVinci by itself.
And when you were saying that exported with the XML, you were still getting ends of words cut off?
When I had OBS running.
Okay.
But as soon as I shut it off, I think OBS was just jacking with it's open source for a reason.
If you have like one long video, don't use the integration. XML is perfect for you because it's much faster than the integration is like if you have like a really long video, let's say an hour-long video, or I don't know how long, 10 minutes, but if it's an hour long, I would always recommend using the XML simply because it's much faster. The integration is basically a hack, if you can say, to deal with multi-track video. Like if you have multiple cameras and stuff like that, that's why the integration exists, that it's a way of interfacing cuts made in TimeBolt with DaVinci Resolve if you have multiple tracks. But if you have, because XML doesn't support that. XML doesn't support multi-track, multi-file, multi-cam, whatever you want to say, those kind of workflows. But for your workflow, I think one long video, XML should go all the way.
Awesome. I'll take that advice. Definitely. Hey, any plans for you guys to include MKVs instead of just MP4?
We did look into this at some point in time, but the thing is, the encoder use FMPEG, and FMPEG doesn't really play well with MKVs. So that's one of the main reasons why we don't use MKVs. Otherwise, if it was supported, it would just be there by itself. That's the main hurdle for us.
Let me ask you this question. Now, I know why you're asking about an MKV, right? Like, as I'm going through, I'm splitting now these workflow videos that I've got into like 6 different videos that I'll then splice all together inside TimeBolt. But just simply for the fact, you put a lot, even with, you're still doing a lot of on-screen action, you know what I'm saying? And you don't want to just lose that. If, let's say you're in the hour and a half set in this thing, an hour and a half, and then all of a sudden, like, I've had it be like when the screen goes out or something, and then it just causes a complete glitch, and then it just kind of ruins the audio. My question would be, is it the MKV file itself, or is it the capability or is it the comfort and the peace of mind that it gives you to know that it can be stopped and paused and not still mess up?
For me, the MKV would just help skip a step or two, because OBS natively goes MKV and then it remuxes into MP4. And DaVinci would accept MKVs. So if I could just keep it all one file, every now and then I have to go in and delete all my MKVs because everything's being remuxed over to MP4s, so I can bring them into TimeBolt. But I had the same problem too with when I was working with Camtasia. It only brings in MP4s. It was just a thought that I had as I was going through this with my new workflow. I just went, oh man, it would be really nice if it was MK4 or MKVs.
Now, then my question would be, is just like we have File Doctor, Quinston, I don't know, like what FFmpeg, if you're able to say, oh, MKV is, we're able to see it's an MKV. I'm wondering if you drop that in to TimeBolt, if it would say this is an MKV file, would you like to convert to an MP4, right? You could do the conversion process right there and then auto load it back in, just like what we do now. I didn't know if now that it's
but that defeats the purpose of having an MKV, I guess. The original question, if it's going to be converted, you can convert it with any software. It doesn't have to be time. If it's a high quality file, I wouldn't really trust the conversion, to be honest. Depends, because if you want a better conversion, you got to have custom settings. If you want to retain a lot of the bitrate of the file, I don't think that would be like beneficial for like a customer who's actually using MKVs. I don't think that would be doing justice to the file itself.
You're right. I was going to say you're right. At some point, I have to eventually get it to MP4, because even when I render out the course to upload to Pluralsight, it has to be in an MP4 format. I might as well do it as early as possible.
I'm just thinking that the reason, it's not so much for the quality, I don't think, for the MKV. It's the peace of mind that it gives you when you're recording in OBS, that if something were to happen, it's not going to corrupt the file itself, right? Like, is that
Right.
like that's why like a streamer, for example, like if their internet goes down or something like that, right? I think an MKV is used to make sure it doesn't also stop recording.
It's already streaming,
Yeah.
right? I don't know.
With-
The streamer is already streaming.
With OBS, the advantage when you record and you say I want to record with an MKV, you have the ability to pause the video, hit a button to pause, and then to restart it, or pause recording and then unpause recording. If you tell OBS to record in an MP3, you don't have that option. If you hit pause, there is no pause; it just stops, and then you have multiple clips.
I see, but in the end, you would still end up with an MP4 file.
At some point, out of DaVinci.
I'm sure if you could pause with an MP4 and OBS and then redo it, you wouldn't even use an MKV, correct?
Right.
That's what I'm saying, Winston. If it ever comes down to, hey, we throw an MKV, if somebody puts an MKV file inside TimeBolt, if it says, would you like to convert this in order to be read inside TimeBolt?
I know. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that the quality of the export needs to also be taken care of because you want to maintain as much bitrate as possible using. That's why an encoder that's built into DaVinci Resolve or an encoder that's built into Premiere Pro is a much higher quality and will produce way better results than an encoder that's inside time for the conversion of MKV to MP4. You want the highest quality retained.
And OBS has a feature, and like I said, I use it. As soon as I hit stop on the record, it automatically remuxes it to an MP4.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's.
Perfect.
I was just saying it would be a step to, but I guess eventually I have to make that step in. Well, I guess maybe I'm doing two steps because I'm doing an MP4 there, and then at the very end of DaVinci, I'm also rendering as an MP4.
Yeah.
But at this point, it works.
It works.
I do the same thing. Like I do a technical enablement training. What I did was my last one that I did, I used OBS for the recording. I would record it and I would pause it. I'd have my tabs with my browser windows up. I'd have the application up and running. And it took 3 hours and 6 minutes of that, but pausing it through OBS, then starting it up again for a 10-minute video. And it came out perfect by being able to do it with the MKV file. I'm staying with that setup for now.
I do have another question for you. Were you able to take a look? Are you going to sign up as an affiliate? Would love to have you as an affiliate if you're out there talking about time.
I'd love to sign up. Absolutely.
Great. We have a section on our website to sign up for affiliates. And I think you just hook in your business PayPal account. That way we can do automatic deposits. Let me know and I'll get you your coupon, 10% off coupon code for first-time buyers as well.
Awesome.
And
I'd love to do that for you.
And did you have, I can't recall, did you have experience with editing with AI before you got to TimeBolt? Did you try that? Were you like, oh, how can I have AI do all this for me?
DaVinci 19 Studio has, it's called Transcribe, and it transcribes a clip, and then you can go through it wherever there's silence. It has like two little dots. You'll see the text go across, and then you'll see like two little dots that represent silence. And you can go up in one of the corners to their little hamburger menu and say delete all silences, and it whacks it. But there is no. I was just going through this conversation with our production guy from Pluralsight. There is no way for me to say give me any tweaks. Like how I can do with TimeBolt, I can say, you showed me the feature of going down to 0.1 at the beginning. You can adjust, with TimeBolt, you can adjust what long of a silence, the padding. You don't get that with DaVinci. It just whacks. And it's not, you can go through and you can do the edit by text too. It has that feature where I can say, I don't like that word. You can take that and it cuts the video. But it's a little bit, the trick I've done with TimeBolt, it's a lot of reading.
Yeah, a lot of.
I mean, don't like reading much. No, the trick that I'm doing with TimeBolt, I'll have to send you guys one of my raw clips, but you'll see in my clip, since my resolution is tall, at the top I have my slide, and at the bottom is my live, is how I record with OBS. And then, like I said, when I finally get it in DaVinci, I adjust it so that one track is my live full screen and the other track is my slide full screen, and then I can use 1 and 2 to go between slide and live back and forth. And that way there too, I can record everything at one shot. When I go through and I'm recording, I do my live, hey, it's Dale Meredith. And then I'll say on the screen, go to slides. And I give a long pause. And then I go to slides, and then at the end of slides, I'll say, go to live. And I leave a long pause. Well, obviously, TimeBolt takes those long pauses, chops it out. So it comes out, hi, my name is Dale Meredith. And then all of a sudden I'm into slides and I miss or you hear, go to slides, and then it goes right into the slides. So what I've done in TimeBolt is anytime I need to switch between, I actually take those long pauses and I unselect them. That when I render, I do get gaps, but when I bring it in DaVinci, all I have to do is fast forward to those gaps and cut them down. And then that way there, when I get to that gap, I cut it down and I say switch to the slide screen. And then it goes, you hear all my slides. And then when I get it says, I see the big gaps telling me to go back to live. I tell the multicam to go back to live. That's the type of stuff I don't get out of some of this other AI stuff. I've never messed with Premiere. No offense to anybody that works with Premiere. I know I've been a Camtasia man since like version 9. This is a big change for me to coming over to DaVinci. But again, that's the only AI stuff that I've ever used, Doug.
Did you notice, thank you for that explanation. Did you ever notice like in DaVinci specifically, were the ends of words getting cut off, things like that? Or were they generally, because what we found is that with the padding levels, the reason we say they're 20 times more precise than AI based editors, because we can do like a 0.01 start to a cut, and the other ones are limited to 0.2. Otherwise they cut off the front of the words too. What we had seen is like, if you're saying like the year like 2023 or YouTube, you would say 20 and you. Right, like they would cut off the ends of words because it's guessing in the place and time where those words occur. I didn't know if you had seen that as well.
To be honest with you, I didn't get, when I saw what it did and went, oh man, I can't work with this, because because it was not arbitrary, but just random of where it was cutting. I was like, I can't deal with this. I immediately jumped out of it. I took a look at it because I watched a couple of YouTube videos about it, and everybody's saying how great it was. And I could see where it would be great in some circumstances, but more for my workflow, I was just like, nah, I'm not going to deal with that. That's good to know that it cuts sometimes out the words.
That's definitely the advantage. You're going back and spending 2 to 3 times as long, going back and just pulling the left pad over here and the right pad over here. And I think that many people stop today. Before in 2019, they would be like, how do we automatically remove silence? And they'd look that up online. Today, how do I get AI to edit videos for me? And then it's still better than 5 times is the length that it takes to do it by hand, right? But they're stopping at the 2 to 3x because they don't know that there's actually a faster way to get that done. That's one of our communication challenges with marketing. And you said that you're also competing against AI where people are doing over these talking head AI generated videos. Do people mind watching them? And can you tell us a little bit about how that's impacted you?
We saw this about a year and a half ago. My wife does similar videos, but she does it for diversity, inclusion, HR skills, stuff like that, does it for the same company. And we saw AI coming. First of all, we were on the cutting edge and we were like using it to our advantage. Nobody knew that we could write our scripts a lot quicker, right? But we started pivoting right away because we could see that it's going to become very quickly that we're going to rely on AI either with avatars or I've cloned my voice with 11 Labs now. I tried doing a course that way where I could just feed a script, and it did a really good job. I actually did a whole course with that just with my voice, but I spent a lot more time. It didn't understand things like TCP/IP. It would actually spell out, TEE, CE. It still had a problem. I know that's coming though. That's kind of change is coming. And I actually started a certification that I'm going through right now. It's an AI certification, and the courses that I'm attending are being done by, she looks real, but she ain't real. And I think that that's going to get better. That's, like I said, that the flow was okay. And me personally, I could pick it up. And I was like, okay, I noticed that I started focusing on the flaws of the video instead of the content of the video. 5 years from now, I think this is going to be a different area. It's kind of scary for me as a trainer, because I know that eventually we'll be able to just sit there and ask ChatGPT, hey, teach me about this, and you'll get a full video with somebody presenting. That's kind of my experience. And I think a lot of people, we get a lot of feedback with the company I work with that I sell my courses to, and their feedback is there is something about interacting with, even though they're not talking to me because it's a video, but they want to be taught by an expert, not by a robot.
Right.
But again, I think years from now, different generations going to be coming up, and they're going to be like, we don't care. We just want the info.
Dale, we run into the same problem here at Science Logic where we're doing some training and stuff. And part of the training is, okay, watch this video that we did for giving you the clicks on how to get the database up and running, how to do all this stuff. But our audience, our customers and our business partners, they don't like that. They want to see it live and how labs demos can go on a live audience and stuff. You've been doing that for a while as well. But we tried doing it where we would script everything done and we would have the clicks glowing and everything would be working fine. But they said, we don't like it. You're talking for like 90% of the course, and then this 10% stuff, we just turn our brains off. We don't want to hear you anymore. I'm hoping the mentality stays for a lot longer. This way, you and I will still have jobs later on.
I love technology, but not wanting to fix my end this way.
And luckily, the efforts still sound pretty high to get these courses to do and say exactly what you want them to. That's people focus when 99% real. It's always that 1% that kind of gives you that, like, what. Hopefully, we don't have the answer. We're just trying to figure out that space with you, and how can we help continue to differentiate human and the human side of the creativity, and hopefully it continues to be, it matters. And we're thinking that AI, it's always, when you're talking about down to the millisecond level, it's going to be, you're going to have accuracy issues that in that way, that sound wave, just seeing when a sound starts and stops, isn't going to have.
Dale, I had a question for you. When you're setting up your videos and stuff, do you do a storyboard first, or do you just write out a script?
Because my background has been, I started teaching in front of a class, and I would teach by PowerPoint, meaning I could look at the PowerPoint, know exactly the information, and just talk.
Yeah.
When I originally started doing courses, that's how I taught. Unfortunately, the generation has come up with, the generation that's coming up is, I'm a big believer in teaching across 3 different ways. And that is for the visual learner, for the person who wants to do it themselves. They want to actually see it done. And then there's the person who just wants the info. The feedback we're getting quite a bit with Pluralsight is the customer just wants the info at this time. They don't have time to listen to, hey, this is the one time that I was doing a physical penetration test at a bank, and they don't want to hear that anymore, which is really weird because it helps to solidify information in your head. I've had to transition to script.
Yep.
I kind of hate it, but I have to say that I'm getting used to it, and I'm saving some money on my checker.
Right.
Exactly. You don't need to run check if it's.
One of the things that we do over at Science Logic, Dale, is Doug and Quinston has been huge with this, is that we do a bunch of videos where we'll do the video, and the video will be like, spend an hour-long meeting, but we'll get like 4 videos out there and stuff. And in each one of those videos, with the new tool that they have, we can actually break that 1 hour-long session into the 3 enablement sessions that we wanted to do with their tool. And also what comes in handy is that, listen, TJ, I don't want to listen to your 20-minute video of setting up the database. What I want to know is how do you set up the PEM key for it? What we do with Doug and Quinston's tool is we set up the chapter markers. And by doing the chapter markers and stuff, we can go right up to the PEM keys. They don't have to listen to the 20-minute session. Like you said, they just want to listen to the information, and later on they want to know how to do it. That's how we use TimeBolt over here at Science Logic and stuff. It's a very handy tool. And I'm a DaVinci guy as well. So I use that tool on the back end as well. But just don't tell Doug that, because he wants me to do all my stuff through TimeBolt with the splitter and everything else.
Trying to eliminate the number of steps. And are your videos, TJ, are they going on to YouTube?
We set them up for YouTube. That the other one, I always want to say Venmo, but it's the one with the V. That one, we use them for that. Mostly it's for internal use for our customers and our business partners. Our marketing people use the stuff they use those avenues, if you will, those YouTube and whatever.
I was thinking more about the chapter markers that you were using on what platform. Vimeo, they also work for Vimeo?
Because we have a description set up. Hey, this video is about this. And then right there, we give them the chapter markers, the same thing that we would do for YouTube or anything else that we drop off in our Microsoft SharePoint.
Excellent.
Hey, TJ, I was just going to ask, and Doug too, these chapter markers, is that what creates the cuts in YouTube where you can... That
saves you an extra step, because one thing I kept on complaining to Doug and Quinston for the last 4 years is that I just did a whole enablement session for a whole group of people in an hour. We just ran the whole thing, Zoom, recorded, all that other stuff. And now I got to listen to it again to get rid of the gaps, add the chapter markers and stuff. What I like is I have everything set up now where after doing this session for an hour, I got to go back and listen to it and stuff. But now I have it set up where we can knock it off really quick and just go through the TimeBolt pass one time. And I get all that stuff done.
Categorizing with markers. We've got it to where you right click, you type in the chapter name, and at the end you can as long as you're doing all your cut work inside TimeBolt, and even including adding an intro and an outro, you can do that inside Stitch. And if you do it inside Stitch, it'll actually take into account if your intro's 10 seconds long, it'll push back all the chapter markers. That all it is just a copy and paste formatted text document. You just copy and paste right into the description of YouTube. Everything's formatted already for you for those chapter markers. And you can also, if you're doing multiple, like if you instead of wanting to use them as chapter markers, you wanted to actually cut your video with them. If you had 3 or like what TJ's talking about, if he has 3 or 4 different topics, wherever you add a chapter marker, you can actually render by chapter marker and it'll call it your chapter name. Let's say you got a live event conference and you've got 5 different startups up there giving a pitch, and you wanted to give each startup their own pitch. Instead of copying and pasting 5 of them and then cutting it down, you cut out all the big stuff, throw your chapter markers in there and hit render, and you've got 5 separate videos ready to go.
That is awesome. I have a YouTube channel that's a little inactive. I want to get back up and going. That's interesting. And by the way, I think TJ will agree with me too, that 1.5 on the playback TimeBolt, man, that's my other one. I'm just like, oh, thank you guys. Huge.
Just the default 1.5.
Hey, I got a question for you though. I have noticed, and unless I'm wondering if it's maybe me hearing myself at 1.5 speed, but when I go back to regular one-time speed, it almost sounds like I'm talking really slow. And I'm like, I don't think I talk that slow in real life.
No, you don't. It's not you. It's your brain playing tricks on it, because it does the same with me. Like I said, when I do this session for an hour and I got to go back and listen to TimeBolt to do all the work, I run that thing anywhere between 1.5 and 2. This way I can get there and I can get to the chapter markers and do that fast, because you listen to it with me, when I do the session, I have it all in the back of my mind. I know what it is. And then when I'm doing it through the TimeBolt at 2x speed, I can still hear it and I know where it is and I can stop it right there, make the cut if I want to, add the chapter marker to it.
I noticed this. I kind of shamed myself. Okay. And this is one of my big insights, is that I always throw turbo mode on everything. I did before I realized this. I had like 3 or 4 people over and I was showing them this. And as you were saying, I'm listening to my stuff at 1.5x. I wouldn't think there's anything wrong with it. I did one of the tutorials and I did the turbo mode at 1.125x and I watched their face and I was like, holy shit. I'm talking fast and it's talking really fast. And what I realized is that for anything that you do with scripted video, you don't need turbo mode when you're talking scripted video. It's the unscripted part where you're searching for meaning and you're searching for the next word to say that turbo mode really does enhance it. But with scripting, it's just about removing dead spots and cutting out bad takes. You already know what you want to say. That doesn't need to be sped up. And then once that's at normal speed, it works perfect. But something, I think unscripted video, definitely turbo mode. When you go scripted, don't even touch it, because it does sound fast, even though it sounds slow to you. And once I was like, oh, wow. Just kind of saw that reaction and like called. I would have thought I was like a novice. Have you ever seen, we just did an ad about it where he was like, the Sex Panther is like 60% of the time, it works every time. And he goes out and they're like, oh, it smells like a burnt turkey. That's the kind of reaction I got from the people. I was like, oh my God, damn. Like, why are you talking so fast? I deleted that video and I was like, okay, I got it. I understand now.
My issue is I get used to hearing myself at 1.5, and then I go and I slow it down to 1, because like I'll go 1.5 and I'll hear something I'm like, I didn't quite capture, I didn't get it sliced enough or too much. I'll go back to 1 speed and I'm like, no, that's what it sounds like to me. Yeah. Because my mind is used to 1.5. I'm like, I know I don't talk that slow in real life, but that's the perception.
I always disappoint people when they talk to me in real life, because they're like, oh, I thought you spoke a lot faster and a lot more clean. That's my job, is to disappoint people in real life. Awesome. Well, Dale, thank you so much. Thanks for joining the call today. Let us know if we have any questions about the setup with the affiliate, or if we need to jump on another call just to give you some more orientation. Be happy to do that as well.
Dale, I dropped your line on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thanks. And by the way, what great customer service. The fact that I can actually talk to, and I know it's because the company's kind of small. Hopefully you don't get too big, because I love this. I love being able to have an opportunity to talk to not only the guy that promotes it all the time and lives it and loves it, but the guy that's creating it. And it's great that you guys listen to feedback. Other companies should follow the same platform to have, where you can communicate and not have to. I thought I loved AI, and now I'm like so sick of AI chatbots trying to troubleshoot something for me on some website. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. We'll always work to make it here on Thursday. We very much appreciate you choosing TimeBolt and sharing your story with everyone.
You bet.
Awesome. Thanks, Dale.
So I was using 11 Labs to make AI videos, and then using TimeBolt on those AI videos, because the AI voice that was generated by 11 Labs had like gaps in them.
I didn't. Oh, did it really?
There was this guy who came on our call, like I think like 2-3 weeks ago, and he was using 11 Labs to make like a video, like a faceless video. The 11 Lab voice output that he got had like gaps in them, like silences between the sentences. And then he was putting that video back into TimeBolt to like jump cut it. That's what
did
Dale
he even
was talking
speak English? Like, that's the other thing that these AI, like, why would you choose AI? It's if you don't speak English, right? And you need to make English.
No, if you don't speak English in the accent where you want to run the ad. For example, like if I was running an ad in America, or let's say the UK, and I don't have an English accent, like an English UK accent, I'd probably use AI to just like make the ad with a UK accent that it connects with people there. If you're running an ad in Ireland, you have an Irish accent that you can use on the ad. You can have like, if you're running an ad in Russia, you can have a Russian translation of the ad. But you can have like, you can clone your voice and then convert it into Russian.
That's a hell of a lot of work, man. Jesus, you got to be.
It's actually not. It's like
actualized.
No, it's not. It's actually not a lot of work. It's surprisingly easy.
Well, to target and put specific ads into like
from a man-hour perspective. From a man-hour perspective, it's a lot of work.
You'd have to be a certain size company to have to
exactly
when to do that too. Or you're a foreign-based national and you're trying to sell into, like,
correct,
especially like the United States. I guess if you were going to do it for that way, you might as well go all the way and do it for the other.
Yeah, I mean, I would never. If I was making an ad for TimeBolt, I would never use my voice. Yeah, that's what you're there for.
You're like, Doug, I think we can make your voice better. Let's
fill the
replace
gaps in your voice.
Yeah.
Make you sound fast.
I wouldn't mind my voice being geared toward James Earl Jones or Sean Connery.
Yeah,
Those guys have great narrative voices.
true.
You got a great voice too, man.
He has a great voice.
Yeah,
now
thank
that
you.
now that you got your mic all fixed.
Yeah, thank you. We're at 107.5 FM WDRC, New York City. Thank you very much.
And
He's got the radio mic too.
just about as time we get his mic fixed, my face gets all jacked up for some reason. Is it still jacked up? It's not jacked up in the
Yeah,
recording.
it is definitely jacked up.
Well, hang on a second. I'm going to kill my video to make you look bigger and stuff. You're only... No, you're still over...
Am I still like...
The sharpest.
What the... So it's funny. I actually spent with this coursework, I put a green screen behind me and it's just me doing a bunch of dumb shit, like those stupid little poses, then cutting that up. I think with a good green screen capability, you can really make those thumbnails pop. I'm trying to figure out right now, we've got we're going to have 8 different workflows. I've about got the Zoom workflow chaptered out completely, Zoom workflow scripted, and I'm just trying to figure out like, what's the best way to make these thumbnails, right? Like, is it like 8 different workflows and I'm pointing to different ones with different kind of like looks? I've got somebody that's good at the design. I think that's going to be absolutely critical. Then we're going to go in and Quinston, as far as marketing goes, we're looking at creating the vertical landing pages like I did for Zoom. We did have one for YouTube, have one for gamers, and we got on call with a Google sales rep, and we're going to be sending search traffic back to those pages and optimizing them with download now and stuff like that, because we actually didn't do that bad the last time we did that strategy. And then that way we have vertical landing pages, and then also create like tutorial pages that once you end up signing up to TimeBolt and we have your email address, we focus more on the email marketing side. Okay. And understanding like what workflows you're in to get them that information versus on the advertising where we're just kind of hitting people with the same kind of, we don't want to hit people with top of the funnel ads if you already know about TimeBolt. Thank you for joining TimeBolt office hours. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, the notification bell when we go live, and we're out of time. Thank you.
Bye.
All right,
See
guys,
y'all.
we'll check you later.
Thanks again.
Take care.
Appreciate it, TJ.
Bye-bye.